Hello, everyone. I forgot how to do this stuff. It's been a month. I think it's been a month, right? Last time we did a live episode was with Mail Call, if I'm not mistaken. But it's good to be back. Good to be live with you guys because I got some stuff I want to show you. Plus, you're all here to see where I rank the worst to the best of the Friday the 13th victims. That's why we're all here. And I have to say something. It was not easy. Well, I mean, the setup looks easy when we get to the slideshow, but it was a pain in the ass. It really really was. Uh, but I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm doing this stuff because, as you know, if you're following my channel and if you're following us on the Slaughtered Lamb, we've I've been going around trying to get some footage of where they're filming the Crystal Lake series here in Jersey. So I've covered West Milford, I covered Blairstown, and where else were they? I think that's it. I think that's it so far. But yeah, it was fun. The setting was it fits with it. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if they're filming anywhere else. There's no way I'm going to Patterson. You can forget that. I mean, someone like me in Patterson sticks out like a sore thumb and is an easy target. Not saying anything about anybody, but the stats are there. All right. Let's see who's here. Let's see who's rolling on in. It's going to be a long episode, so let's try to get through it. I think we're going to be here for, 2 hours maybe. So, Chester, how's it going? Hey, Tony. Matthew, Sebastian, Jordan, what's going on? Who else is coming in? Hey, Raph. Hey, Janine. Hey, Shamrock, what's going on? All right, so let's get to grubby little hands because there's some stuff I did get. That's right. No, that's right. Nothing like a Friday stream to kick off the weekend. I appreciate it. Yep. Grubby little hands. I got some stuff. I'm saving the best stuff for last, but Spirit Halloweens are popping up all over the place. So we're going to be looking forward to see what they have in stock. And there's a couple that are open around my area. So, Pat, did I see the new Ronnie and Blake video? Yes, I did. And there will be litigation coming up. I have a in with the attorney general's office. I know some of them personally, and that's all I have to say. I can't speak any further. Lawyer up. Hey, Dean, what's going on? Hey, Destiny, how are you? Good to see you. All right. Spirit Halloween. I only picked up one thing because I think, Pat, you also picked this up. So, yeah, it's the neon light up from Halloween 2. It's actually quite nice. It's actually quite bright. I'm not going to take it out and show you what it looks like because it is quite cumbersome. The only thing I don't like with a lot of these things now I'm old school. Pat, you're old school as well. And a lot of people in here, anyone who was a product of the 80s, early 90s, they're old school. 70s, okay, maybe even back further than that. But everything now comes with a USB. And listen, I'm not going to install a freaking outlet somewhere for a USB. I know you could buy the attachment for it, but why bother? Give me a freaking cord. I can get plenty of extension cords all over the place. Yeah, I'm sure they make extension surge protectors for USBs. I don't want to go through that stuff. I have this stuff here. Oh, Matthew Jensen says, I always go for the home decor at Spirit. It's some of that stuff. And some of that stuff, if you wait, as we all know, Destiny knows as well, Spirit Halloween shoppers like we are, if you wait to the end, you get some really good discounts. There were Party City when they were going out of business. I was able to get like a 2-headed goat animatronic and put it I have it somewhere, but I got it for next to nothing. I think I got it for $30, and it was originally for $2.99. So yeah, Tony, welcome to the new world, Frank. I know, and I heard like the Google Pixel 10, which I'm on the waiting list for. Let me know when it comes out so I can go get it. They're taking away the eSIM card, or no, they're taking away the SIM card. So now everything's going to be eSIM except for the folding edition. I don't know. I don't know if I can handle doing this. It seems like if I break that screen, it's going to be expensive to replace. Hey, Dream, what's going on? Yeah, Dream, USB, unusable standard bollocks. The big decor piece I want from Matthew is the Art the Clown bust. Do they have one? And Destiny says, yeah, love some spirit. Love some spirit. And some Sprite, too. We know what you were saying, Destiny. We know what you're saying. Also, I picked up, here it is. I heard from a little birdie that this is not going to be coming back once you get it, but yeah, it's mostly all steel books, isn't it? I like this. I like this movie. Some people I know it didn't gel with, but I liked it. It was Late Night with the Devil, the 4K steelbook. Some great stuff in there. I haven't opened it yet, but there's supposed to be a signed autograph from Jacket here, which is probably a stamp, but that's okay. I don't care. But yeah, looking forward to playing with that a little more. Yeah, we'll see how that is. I know the movie. I've seen it a couple of times, but interested for the features. My lucky beaver. So the one thing I'm also, hey, Eli, what's going on? Thanks, Eli. I appreciate that. I don't force you guys to either like or sub. I know it helps channels out, but I don't. If you like and people sub, is because they like what I bring. I just don't do it. For some reason, I almost feel like this is me. I'm not knocking anybody. I think when somebody says like and subscribe, they've been feeding off other people in other channels who have said that plenty of times, and we're in that freaking state of mind where we have to say it because other people have said it, and we look at their subs, and it's not all for me. It's not about subs. I like engaging with you guys. That's why TSL is so good about engagement numbers, is because we get you guys engaged, we get you guys talking. We don't ignore you. Once you get really big, if you hit 1,000, great. If you hit 1,500, you're doing awesome. I think if you get huge, anything over 100, it's not all, because every time you have to freaking say that. All they do is when you put a super chat in, you get all you get is it comes up on the screen and they practically don't read it. And then you wind up putting tables in conventions to promote yourself because you're that arrogant. Matthew says, I noticed the Naked Gun popcorn bucket. Did you happen to see the film? What was your thoughts? I enjoyed it myself. I enjoyed it as well. It was good to see a no-nonsense comedy and just do spoofs. I miss spoof comedies. That's why I can't wait for the next scary movie to come out. Dream Villain. Yeah. They're great at blocking water flow. Okay, this one I'm very excited for. I know Pat or Brett are probably going to try to get it. Another limited edition comic. However, I have two of them. Look at the foil on that. Look, I wish I can. In Mylar. Now you've seen double of me, but look at that. It is a Michael Myers comic. It is from the San Diego Comic-Con that they were selling, and it's limited to only 200. So I don't know if I'll raffle these off. If on the Slaughtered Lamb, we got a few we can do coming up. Maybe we'll do a Halloween quiz again. We got 119 and 120. I think my son wants one of these, but look at that. It's pretty cool, right? All it talks about is the birth of the slasher. I took it out once. It was a pain in the ass to get out because it sticks to the Mylar. Uh, but it talks. There was. It's. I don't want to spoil it. But you know what? Frick it. I'm gonna spoil it for you guys. So there's a lady talking about different slashers, and she talked about Psycho, Peeping Tom, and it's all in comic book format. And she's talking with a razor blade. She's going from knife, and it's almost like she's presenting a thesis to an audience. And she talks about Halloween in there, how Halloween gave birth to mood and atmosphere slashers, which I agree with. And then they talk about Jason. It talks about Freddy. Uh, that's then wind up pulling back, and she's actually has a clown tied up that's crying, and she starts a little bit of slicing and dicing. And there's a little bit of ghost face in there. They talk about, and I was almost tempted to rip the page out. Dean, you you would think someone promoted themselves at a con. Yes. Yes. Because the arrogance, gets to them. That's all I have to say. Do you think they should make a con about YouTube creators? What do they call it? A creator con? Do they have something like that? YouTube con? We can't say that because YouTube and Google would want some money off of that, right? Creator con? Channel con? I don't know. There's something. There's something that somebody's going to make up. Tony says, I think we should take priority, Frank. Of course, you do. Yeah. Fat Bookie says, oh, Ghostface, your favorite. No. You guys know. I know you guys are poking the bear. Vlog Kong. You know what, Destiny? That may bring other clientele in. Yeah. I bet that exists. Yep. I think there's Creator Con. Is there? There used to be a Creator Con. What would you call it? TubeCon? VidCon? VidCon is what it's called. VidCon? There's too many cons. Okay. Let's begin. Let's do this. Here we go. Ranking every male victim from worst to best of the Friday the 13th franchise. Ladies and gentlemen, out of all the victims, out of the genders that are presented to us in this franchise, there is nearly 100 male victims. So, what I did is these were victims that were their death was caused by Jason. So you won't get in New Beginning, you won't get the two grave diggers that Tommy Jarvis, the young Tommy Jarvis, is dreaming of. You won't get that in there because it's a dream sequence. I don't know if it's real. And there's a few in here that are questionable, but I think the consensus is that they are dead. So let's see where I rank some of these people. I'm going to move some of these guys. I'm going to move myself over. If you guys bear with me, I'm going to put myself over here now because most of the stuff happens on the left side. Okay, so who is the worst, in my eyes, the worst victim in Friday the 13th history? For me, got one shot. Vic. So Vic is out. Who's Vic? Victor. Vic is out. Joey is out. Dream Sequence is out for New Beginning. Any of the people who went down into from Lazarus, they're out. Yeah, Matthew. Joey is out. Joey's not a Jason victim. That graphic novel guy. Bad news, cuz. All right. So, who do you think? I'll give you a hint. He's probably everyone's favorite. Paintball victim and the smiley face? No. Yeah, plus Vic survived anyway. You're right, Daz. I don't, okay, let's just start anyway. It is Uncle Charles. Uncle Charles is my least favorite victim. Least favorite victim of the franchise. And for obvious reasons. He is miserable throughout the whole movie. Now, I can understand people are saying he's the best thing about this movie because he's a seasoned actor and I think he's doing a good job at the part. I'm taking that away from that. There's others ways that they could have written this character. There was a part that I knew he was really a dick is when he threw Rennie in Crystal Lake, tried to teach her how to swim by telling her Jason is still in the lake, which he was. I don't know how Jason and Rennie are the same age, but oh well. And when she remembers that repressed memory, she confronts him and says, "I was only trying to help you. I saved your life." No, you bastard. You almost freaking killed me. Seriously. Get away from me. You're lucky I don't have you arrested and I can make up some shit. That's what she should have said. He deserves everything. Not taken away from the actor, ladies and gentlemen. It's the characters. Do we have to keep going over and over in this? Uncle Charles is the worst. Yeah, Daz, I'm your teacher, young lady. Oh, he didn't stop right in time. He actually just got a little bit of an appetizer. Matthew says, I hate this character. Bad uncle. It is awful. He is miserable. And there's a poll, not a poll, but I think on Radar, or is it, which other channel is it? Collider, where they actually rank some of the victims that they couldn't be more happy that passed away. And Uncle Charles was up there, was really up there. All right, next one. Let's go, because there's 98 of these bastards. Holmes. Jason from Jason Also Takes Manhattan because he is a assaulter. He is. He's absolutely terrible. He's kidnaps Rennie. I don't like these victims. I don't like these victims at all. When they get a little bit too handsy with anybody, you're down on my list. You're down on my list. But the reason why Uncle Charles is on the bottom over Holmes is because he kidnapped Rennie, drugged her up, and was going to assault her. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I think we could say that word because it's, I don't know. YouTube is different. It's finicky. Next, there will only be another person after Holmes, and that is JoJo. JoJo's just as bad as Holmes. He's awful. He's the one who gets the smack, able to, so Holmes can do what he wants, and luckily Jason saves her life. That's right. Ended with his own syringe. That was Holmes, right? And I don't think JoJo could JoJo survive the head smash in the pipe? I think he could. All right, moving on. Robert Campbell, Jason Goes to Hell. As you guys know, when we did the best and worst of Darren's favorite, Jason Takes Manhattan, which he spent, a mint on to get, and has it now locked away in a safe and in a airtight package. And when the company comes over, he displays it right next to the king and his fine china. I picked Robert as the worst character in the movie just because of what he was doing to the young girl. I forgot her name already. Of course, I forgot this movie a lot, but he is he's a necrophiler. He is a grave snatcher. He is a pretty terrible guy. All for the story. Yeah, you're right, Tony. These deserve to be in the bottom. Yep, Chester, agree with you all the way at the bottom. They kind of take you out a little bit, or you kind of clap when their end happens. You know, you're just like, get rid of it. All right, Trent. You knew Trent was going to be here. Do we have to say more about Trent? Trent is just is just obnoxious. His lines suck. You know about the different placement around the body. He is terrible. I think he's the worst. We all agree Trent is the worst character in the remake. Mm. Yeah, Darren. Ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, also for Mr. Sandsman, right next to the king and his fine china. Yep, your fine china. That's what I meant. The next to the king, picture of the king and his fine china. He brings that. One of these days, Darren, I think I'm going to find you a VHS copy and just send it to you and just tape. Remember me? I'm back. Tony. Yeah. Unlikable guy. He's down at the bottom. Who's next? Dr. Cruz. Bad News Cruz. Another my worst character. Love the guy, Terry. Terry Kircher? Yeah, from Weekend at Bernie's. But in this one, just trying to promote, the psychic ability from Tina, bless her. And yeah, he didn't care about her well-being, and that's why they brought her back to where the trauma all happened. I don't even know if this is Crystal Lake. Yeah, it has to be. I want to know if this was in Crystal Lake. Jason was brought back by Tina, which we all know. And Tommy was there this whole time. I mean, Tommy was putting Jason into his, watery grave. How come Tina and her family didn't come out and see the fire? Maybe it happened earlier. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Chester says, Trent was so damn annoying, he couldn't let the other person come in the house. Yeah, he couldn't forgot his name too. Padalecki. I forgot what his name was. But anyway, he was kind of intimidated by his machismo. He thought his girlfriend wanted to be with him, and she did because he was nice. Brett, what's going on, buddy? Shame we never saw his full ending. Cut too much. The whole movie, Tony, is cut. All of it. Again, it's that shot of the eyes being zoomed in on. That's the way they suggested that someone was being killed. It's Crystal Lake. He takes Tina back there. Yeah, I know, Daz, but it was just so weird because where their house is, I don't know if it's their house. I think it's their house, right? What they go back into. They couldn't see Tommy lighting Jason on fire. It's so weird in this franchise because people know the history about Jason and nobody tells anybody Jason is in the water because a lot of kids see it. The parents will come up. The police force is gone, but the parents come and pick up the kids and the kids say, hey, there's somebody in the water. I heard his name is Jason Voorhees. And they're like, oh, stop making up, stories. I told you. Smack. That's why they probably never said anything. Clay, thank you, Dream Villain. Thank you. All right, Dr. Cruz. Who's a little bit better than Dr. Cruz? Duke, by smidgen. And you know why I don't like him is because he tells Roy to get his fingers dirty. Get your fingers dirty. And he calls the other people at the center, a bunch of P words. And he's just this is the type of orderly or EMT that would rob you if you're if you're unconscious and look for your wallet or some kind of interfere with you in another way. Yeah, so he's terrible, and he should have gotten a worse death. Wouldn't it be great if he was driving or he was in the passenger seat of that ambulance, and we figured out Roy was Jason? Well, that would spoil it, wouldn't it? But we would see his death. We would just see maybe like a scalpel go through his head, yeah, he's a creep. Yeah, Daz, he pops gum. Get your hands dirty. He's a good shirt. I think I would put him on a shirt next to Joey and just say, "Get your hands dirty." Who's next? Pete. Pete. Pete is not from New Beginning, is he? Yeah, he is. He's from New Beginning, and so was Duke. That's right. I thought I messed up there. For some reason, I thought Pete was in Final Chapter, but he's not. They all have that look. Pete is just a bully. He bullies his friend around Vinny, and I don't like bullies. Rat tat 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 tootie. A rat tat 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 tootie. Tony says, wasn't Roy the Jason that did Duke? Yeah. Yep. Through all of them. This guy looks like a dollar store Christopher Nelson. Let's see. Kind of. Are you talking about Dr. Crew? Dr. Cruz. Yeah, Pete. I don't like pizza whatsoever. I don't like bullies. All right. Eddie. You guys know how I feel about Eddie. Not really a bad person, either though he lets, is it not Tambora? Forgot her name. Whatever. She's a pain in the ass too. Let her, manipulate him and use him as an item just to get Nick to come around and be jealous. It's the way he comes back at her in his tighty whities, in his t-shirt, and doesn't act like a man. She sits there and basically blows him off and says, I thought this would get Nick around, but you're just not doing it for me. And he talks about how he's been rejected so many times by the best science fiction magazines in the country. And he leaves, picking up his clothes, saying he's got a date with a soap on a rope. So he's even bringing himself down even more, which I hate. This guy should have said, you know what? I think you're a real bitch. And nobody likes you. And nobody will ever like you. I'm going to go down and I'm going to find somebody that likes me. And you're going to wither away in your own fake flesh. And you're going to get really old and really ugly. And nobody's going to want you. Not even Jason, who has seen some pretty good looking fish down in that lake. That's what he should have said. If you want to see me rant about him, go look at the TSL's Best of Worst of New Blood. I rant about him. He makes me cringe that there are no real men around. And this was the start. Eddie was the start that men are not men. Men, in my job, I know men can't even take the trash out without, wearing gloves and being like an icky, or seeing something that's unfortunately is dead, an animal, and they get queasy. This is the start. This is the start of these. These are the men around right now, and I hate them. Hey, Maestro, what's going on? That's right, Tony. He got played. Do you, Matthew says, do you all ever think of Roy got his revenge on Vic for killing Joey? No, Vic was locked up. He couldn't see him. They're not going to let him see him. Yeah, Brett, start the car, MFer. Oh, man. Yeah, should have gave the John Candy Planes, Trains, and Automobile speech. I like me. Everyone else down there likes me. I'm an easy target. I would have said, you brought me up here for a reason, and we're going to do it. There's no court that's going to convict me. The evidence is there. You stay there. Hey, Blake, what's going on? Jason is the first male victim. Oh, please. They should have been watching him. Instead, they were screwing in. Screwing in. First victim of what? The first victim of neglect? Where was his mother? I was cooking meals. They were supposed to be watching him. No, ultimately, it comes down to you. I bet you there was no release form. So, Blake, I'm giving you a thumbs down for that theory. No, not the first male victim. Those are pillows. All right, let's move it on. Moving on. Teddy. In this franchise, there's a Ted, a Ned, an Ed, a Ned, a Ted. Anything with ED, which Eddie had. Pun intended. Another guy who can't get any play. Another guy who comes off as forceful. Nobody likes him. He makes fun of his friend Jimbo and thinks that he can get one of the twins. Nobody likes him. They probably took a look at him naked and said, he ain't no bear. He's the worst he's one of the second worst of the Eds here. Teddy. Hate Teddy. Teddy, where's the corkscrew? Ted. Daz, I really hate this guy. I really hate this guy. Tony, you want to give the teddy bear a little kiss? Creepy. That's enough right now to bring you up on charges. That is enough. Just saying that. Give teddy bear a kiss. Get out of here. I'd rather kiss that bear, really. You know what, Teddy? I'll do something for you. You know what would have been great if Tina, which one was it? Was it Tina or the other one? The other sister. I think it was Tina. You know what she should have done? Took a pair of scissors, cut a hole in that bear, and said, you have fun tonight. Let's see. There again, Teddy, Ted, Ned. Ned's another goofball, another clown, another, fondler with Brenda, powwowing, fake Indian, Native American, where Dorf comes around and says, can it, Tonto? It's just useless. Another fool. Yeah, he's a loser. Even Destiny knows. Women, all the women here, you let me know loser, please, because their radar for losers is better than any person, any guy. All right, such a loser. What's going on? Chewy, another loser. Shoot the boo. Annoying as hell in the remake. Gotta overproject himself to get attention. Hate him. Hate Chewie. He was my worst character of the remake. Followed by Lawrence. You can't have one idiot without the other. So Lawrence is just as bad. Hangs around with Chewie. He could have been an okay character, but he just influenced and egged Chewie on more to be an ass. And why would Chewie shoot his own boot, drink from his own shoe? I never heard of shoot the boot game. Never heard of it. Yeah, drink it, Tony. Drink it from this. I like him because I'm biased because I like the actor. You can like the actor, but Destiny, the character, different story. Okay, let's see who's next. Wade, there's a there's a formula here, right? You can see a pattern. Wade, another, Dwight Schrute rip off. Another one of those. Another one of those. Can't take anything more seriously. This guy doesn't look like he knows where weed is or ever smoked anything. He looks like he is really perving out with Richie and his girlfriend. That's where that looks like this is what this type of guy is. Yep, destiny. Chester says, Chewy, I hate him drinking from the shoe. Yuck. Oh. And then they want to live as one big happy cliche. Sounds like something from Scream. Okay, let's see. Again, like Wade, Richie, Oreos, chocolate chips. Two things go together to make something really bad. Ice cream, vanilla ice cream with chocolate sauce. These two go hand in hand. Richie's just as bad. They're on the same. They what is it? They feed off each other. I hate that little. Hate that. Ugh. Good deaths though. Another loser. Another loser. Janine, what's going on? Says, sorry, but for me, every character in the remake is bad. Yeah, Dad says, I like the remake, but the men really do suck. They do. They're insufferable. Insufferable. All right, who's next? Nolan. Out of all the guys that are in that little clique, Nolan seems to be the best one. He has a girlfriend. He's in a loving relationship as it seems. He's not bothering anybody. He doesn't go out of his way to be a clown. He just wants to have fun with his girlfriend. So out of that group of Trent's group, out of all the guys, Nolan is the least worst, if that makes sense. So, all right. I think when we get about 20 victims, it gets fuzzy in the middle because they're kind of like, not too bad, not too good. So let's go with next one. Bert, chauvinistic pig. Just because a woman is better at you at something doesn't mean you have to be angry about it. That just means you have to try a little bit harder. And maybe because you didn't look at people's strengths made you a loser instead of either exploiting them or learn how to get around their strengths to make you better. What is that person doing more that makes them the way they are? She was an exec. She got you. There's no reason to call her those names. And you deserve it, Bert. You deserve it to be that way. And it's paintballing. So this is a paintball game. Now, paintballing, I think, became very popular in early 2000s, but had been around for many years before that. It's Destiny. Why would you bring a machete, a real-life machete, to a paintball game? Dad says he probably loses at the company too. Yeah, so I think they're in sales. I think they mentioned that. He's got to be one of those guys that has a Bowflex in his office and a stretch, one of those stress balls. So, yeah, he's. I just hate him because he calls Kate. That's his name. All these names are now coming back to me as I look at these stupid male victims. Bert, Kate probably, she let's see, she knows his flaws. He's got to be a macho man. Probably went out there with a machete making so much noise. They probably think nobody is going to get him with a paintball, and she exploits that. And he deserves everything. I think this actor's doing cons. Yeah, wouldn't it be funny, Tony, if Jason just held on to that arm and just used it as an extension and just, killed everybody with it, just flopping around. All right. Loco. I don't know if he was the person who hatched the idea of trying to burn the barn down. He's not a terrible guy. I mean, he's a bully as well. But the reason why I put him so low on the list is because he's carrying gas with a lit cigarette. I know it was part of the burn barning, but listen, they're bikes. I know I understand. If somebody hits your motorcycle, or your ATV or your off-roader or your Jeep or something that you drive that have pride in, you're going to take really good offense to that. But don't they have insurance to fix it? Call the cops. Do something, hey, Marisol, what's going on? Do something to, correct it. But yeah, I know he's going to be at Monster Mania coming up. Yeah. Oh, Matthew. Oh, you said it. Random mouth noise, right? Can't take that anyway. Why don't you just whistle? So if you heard a dog barking on Chris's farm, or the pond community, because it's not Crystal Lake there, it's a freaking pond. You heard a dog barking, wouldn't you be like, where'd that dog come from? If he meowed, remember that? If he could, it would just be like, meow. Oh, come on. And Loco, you're Loco, all right. Next. Junior. Ladies and gentlemen, he looks like he's from Mississippi, right? Dirt bath, pig pen, loud, obnoxious. Shout out to Ron Sloan, though, because Junior is one of the most memorable characters of the franchise. But he just, as Darren would say, he's just too loud going around. Dude, Ethel doesn't even care about him. Just even when he's crying, you chop him up in itty bitty pieces, man. They hurt me. And she's like, I'm making your dinner, and I could care less what they do to you. What does that say? Destiny says, yep, he's annoying. You tell him, Ma. I want to know what the father looked like. The father probably, is a stockbroker. I think Junior's dad is either the coyote or the sheriff, because he looks at her with love in his eyes. Morning, Ethel. Yeah, eat this stew, you fuckwad. You big D. Professor Lowe. How could I put Junior below Professor Lowe? Well, Junior is just annoying. But Professor Lowe was just using, Jason for money. I don't think he was in for the teaching aspect. I think he also wanted to exploit his students. He does do weird stuff with his students, as we know. And he could probably take some pain. Marisol says, I hated Junior. He was so dirty. And when he was circling on his bike, he got what he deserved. Yeah. Professor Lowe. Not our best. I think Darren and I both say Professor Lowe was our worst. You passed. Get out of here. Stony. Now you can see a pattern here. Stony from Jason X. Not too bad, but, keep your eyes on the prize. You're there for... I don't understand how... There are trips that... Let me know if you guys ever done this, or if your kids ever done it. There's a trip to Washington that most kids take in the 8th grade, maybe in 6th grade. And everybody can go. Anyone who wants to pay. For me, back then, it was $100. I think it's a little bit more expensive now. So what they would do is you would have to get your own roommate. So there's a group of 4. So usually pick your friends if they were going or somebody you had some kind of friendly relationship with. And they would all put you in the room. There was only 2 double beds, and they pulled out the folding mattresses that were in the closet. And the girls would be in a separate floor of the hotel, and they would tape your door to the frame. And if you got out of your room at a certain point, because there were chaperones that from teachers that would go back and forth the hallway to monitor, make sure no one's coming out at a certain time. It was almost like prison. And they didn't want any of the boys hooking up with the girls. This place, Stony and whatever her name is, I'll call her Kate too, whatever, Kinsa. They hooked up constantly instead of doing their schooling. He's unlikable too. I think he's one of the guards. Isn't he one of the grunts? Moving on. Vinny, why do I put him below Stoney? Stoney's got some play, but Vinny is just another shell of a man that couldn't stand up to his friend, the bully. Jake was his name? Whatever. It was so long ago. It was a couple slides ago. Yeah, but Vinny couldn't just stand up to him and say, you know what, you fix it yourself. Hawking the horn. He's the laughing joke. I get some marbles, buddy. Stand up. Stand up for yourself. All right. We're almost halfway through. David, stoner, not taken away from recreational activities. I've tried it myself. Didn't like it, but I have tried it. Yep, Tony. The Vinny did fix the car. Did he fix the car? Or did Roy fix the car? Dad says Vinny and Pete drove the DeLorean from the 50s to the 80s. Yeah, I mean, to all the girls in there on here. Muted. There we go. I think David was so he was so not into his surroundings that he didn't know anything that was going around him. Typical stoner. I got it. Yep, got it, Michael. Typical stoner. I don't really like him too much, but he's not really a bad character. He's not really a bad character. Yep, fixed it. But what lines? What lines? You know why I like you so much? You hardly sweat at all. Yeah, he's not really a good character. Now we're getting to the point, ladies and gentlemen, where you will see the kind of like we're in the iffy section. Not too bad, not too good. I think David started this. Ben, another one from New Blood, kind of, blew off his girlfriend to go to some kind of convention with Eddie. It reminds me of a character from either The Cosby Show or Fresh Prince. Maybe Cool World. Is it Cool World? Yeah. But yeah, I think his girlfriend Kate, called him out on it. Yeah, he's not really a likable character. Next. Let's go. Donnie is okay until you get to know him. Another person that needs a bath. Another person who you wouldn't leave your dog with. Let's just say. Darren said that this is one of his favorite lines from this guy. I think he said Donnie had one of his favorite lines. or what it was one of his favorite moments. But then I said, "Do you know how he lost his manhood? Was with an inanimate object." Now, most men in here will probably say, "Okay, so what?" History. Donnie, another dirty bastard. I just think he's just creepy. Talking about mummy farts and you know, he went too redneck. He went too, if this was supposed to be taking place in Jersey, the remake, there's nobody like that. Well, never mind. There is people. Forget I said that. Now I get into the halfway point. No, we're not even halfway yet. Donnie, yep. Eddie, Eddie, just comes off. Eddie comes off not like a bad guy, but he got his ass kicked pretty good because he tried to scare Tommy. Tommy gave him a pretty good ass whooping. So, but Eddie, I'm indifferent to him, but I put him down the list because he did make Tommy have an episode. And plus, I think he touches people's crap, all their stuff, I think he either sells crap. There's a lot of stuff missing from that facility, that home facility that they're in. Eddie's the one stealing the shit, probably to pay for a lot of medical procedures. Matthew says, funny, Donnie the character is gross, but the actor seems very nice. I see in videos of him in real life. I've seen those videos too. It's the characters, right? Like you said, Matthew. It's the character. Donnie did get the new Jason, did give Jason the new mask. He did. Well, the reason why he got the new mask too. Very good point, Eddie. From Daz, Eddie lasts longer than Judith's boyfriend at Halloween. And Tony says Eddie had 2 great moments before his death. Hey, Spidey fan, what's going on? Wayne is next. Another one who Tamara, uses, and then he pours his heart out. I really liked you since junior high. That's almost as bad as Jake going, I want to make love to you. No, you don't say that right away, man. You got to have some play. Wayne doesn't have any play. He could have gone after JJ, which I would have done. Azrael or Azel, whatever his name is. Yeah, not really a fan of him. I think he's the weakest character. He was not my favorite character in Jason X. Another goofball. I don't like goofballs. Tony, geek alert. All right, let's continue. All right. The guards. Now, I lump these in. You'll see a lot of lumping in. If they die on screen together, these characters are going to get lumped in. The guards, some great kills. Not really. Now we're getting to the part of this show where these guys are just iffies. These guys are in the middle now. You could take them or leave them. But yeah, there's some I'd probably put the kills because the way they died are above each one in this slideshow. But yeah, the guards, they really didn't do anything for me. All right, continuing. Sergeant Marcus, I put him in with the guards, of course. He's at least he just apologized for everything he did and about to do. Barry for the original. I can't believe I got a picture of him tucking his pants in. Barry, I don't know. Is Barry the reason why Jason died? Do we know if the original took place the beginning with Barry and Claudette, if Jason died because of those two and they were supposed to be watching him? Were these the two that were assigned? Did Jason die in the original in the beginning? I mean, I would like to think Barry and Claudette were the reason why Jason died. So he would be pretty low on this list or in the middle. I put him, if that is the reason, he should be lower. But if he's not, and this just triggered Mrs. Voorhees, Pamela, to go off, is just seeing them fooling around and not paying attention to the kids. Maybe you put him in the middle because these two triggered her. I don't know. Yeah, Daz, they weren't doing nothing. We weren't doing nothing. Yeah. You were cleaning up. That's what you were doing. And Marisol, wasn't Gargamel's cat name Azrael? Yeah, it was. Tony says, no, I think they were just doing the same thing. Do we? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what year. I don't know what year the original took place in the opening. Let me know. I'm not the most, I'm not the most expert of characters or lore for Friday the 13th. I just know as much as the next person. All right, what's after Barry? Dan. Dan's a little geek. Another one whose woman uses him around. Terrible Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, but he's not really that bad of a guy. Chuck. For some reason, I think Darren doesn't like chili. The person, chili, in 3D. So I put Chuck in there because I know he's also going to be at Monster Mania this weekend. Chuck just really doesn't do anything for me. Typical stoner. I think I put him low on the list because he walks around that outhouse with no shoes, stepping in water. Oh man, you really got to be stoned I'm surprised he even felt any electricity when he got electrified. So I don't think I put him. I put him in the middle just because of his wet feet. Daz says Eddie Stoner and Slasher is a terrible character. Kenneth goes, hey, Ken goes, Chuck sucked. I want to know something. The Stoner in I forgot his name, in Cabin in the Woods. Is he an okay character? Because you say Eddie Stoner. Chuck and Chili were very unnecessary. They were. Moving on. Next, who's better than Chuck? Jimbo is better than Chuck, but really a guy, again, it comes down to men not being men. And he's going on about his girl that broke up with him, all because he has no play and he's a dead fuck. Jim, even though he had a great outcome and he got his, I don't want to say he got his soul back. I mean, he got his manhood back in more ways than one, as you know, but he got his attitude back. He got it right. That's the only thing that separates Jimbo from Teddy, is that Jimbo has got a little bit of play. You don't ask a girl after you've done the deed, was I terrible? Yeah, you were pretty bad. Don't bring it up. Hey, McFly. Yeah, Matthew says, Cabin in the Woods Stoner, I liked. Cabin in the Woods, I only saw once. Should rewatch. I did like it. It's a good movie. Dr. Wimmer. Jason X. The only reason I like Cronenberg. I put him low because of what he wanted to do was, research Jason where he should have, stop it, Daz. Because of what he wanted to do to Jason, where what's her name? Was it Regan? No, Alexa Doig's character. We don't have to put it in there, but you know which character I'm talking about. He wanted to preserve, his tissues, so because he could regenerate it. Does Jason and Jason X look like he can regenerate tissue? Come on, if somebody came up to you and said, "Guess what? We're going to give you a whole new skin graft. We don't have to take skin from your ass anymore. We're gonna put some of this tissue on you, and it's gonna reform. You're gonna look beautiful." Oh, really? Wow, medical technology and science has come a long way. Where'd you get it from? I got it from Jason Voorhees' forehead. Would you want that? Would you want that on your body? All right. There we go. Russell from New Blood. Eh, he's not too bad. At least he cares about his girlfriend and cares about his uncle's place. Jim from Takes Manhattan. Messes around with Susie a little bit, but seems like he's a loving couple. They're a loving couple. I think maybe they're the first couple to say "I love you" that weren't married. Do we have another couple that says "I love you"? No. I think this is the first one. Court. Court I put above. At least Court's kind of funny. So, I mean, he has one of the most terrible dry hump scenes ever, but he's okay. He's not really the worst character in, part 6. As you saw before, it was Bert. Bert was there. So, all right, moving on from Court. Sven from Jason X. You're getting to the point of seeing those grunts from Jason X. So let's move through these very quick. Sven, Condor, Dallas, who's also the writer of Jason X. Kicker, who's the leader. These guys are kind of, cannon fodder. All right. I have a problem with Shelley. So now we're almost halfway through this list. Shelley is kind of one of the worst characters. I know for some, well, but he got Jason his mask. Well, yeah, it is what it is. I know he actually helped out with the franchise. He's a lawyer now. I forgot his name, but yeah, Shelley's just a joker. Another guy who does no confidence. He could have gotten Vera if he was a little bit more kinder and just presented some charm. But he did scare Chris a lot. He did scare a lot of other people, and it just made him annoying. I would have left him behind. I think he's actually shacking with his mother. Paul, kind of got blinders and went for the other girl, leaving what's her name, by herself, which wasn't an upgrade. So Paul's pretty. I don't say he's a sleazy guy. He just doesn't. It's just his mind was in the gutter at first. I would never, ever, ever leave. What's her name? Jody. Is it Jody? I would never leave her for a twin. Pretty tempted, but no. Paul's probably the worst out of the group. And I don't say what is the worst, one of the worst in Final Chapter. I just said his priorities were in checked, and he had a Julie. That was her name, Julie. Yeah, he's high, but he's not that high. Kind of the leader of the group. Shelly's a dick. Yep. Could have done well with Vera, but idiot couldn't stop. Right, Daz? As the girls know, the girls in the chat, let me know. Is it about looks all the time, or is it about how a man presents himself? Is it about his charisma, his charm, his confidence, his ability to stick up for you? She found love with Shelley for a nanosecond because he stood up for himself with the bikers. Shelley, I should go back to him. Hell with it. And she said he was wonderful, and he got some confidence. He didn't do it. Yeah, the whole playing dead thing was annoying with Shelley. It is, I don't think there's no girl here that actually would ever fall for this guy. I do it because you'll like me. How about you open a fucking door? How about you give me some roses? How about some chocolate? Take me out to dinner. Tell me what you want to do in life. How about you Pull out a chair for me. How about you just have a conversation? Let me know about you. Don't let me know what's in your freaking box. I did include the boxer from Jason Takes Manhattan. The boxer above Shelley and Paul. Imagine that. He has a pretty good death. He's okay. Lou, Jason X. Kind of funny guy. You know, kids and their trips, I tell you. Memorable out of the of Jason X? Probably because I seen him in other. I think I put him high because I remember this actor in the remake of Dawn of the Dead. Is it Dawn of the Dead? Yeah. Yeah, Dawn of the Dead. Could try to get to these. Captain Robinson, Jason Takes Manhattan. Not a bad dad, but he doesn't realize he's a bad dad until after he says things and makes Sean run off because Sean doesn't want to get into his dad's crap. Forces him to be something he's not. So, I mean, he should have told Sean, Sean, I'm sorry. I just care about you so much. I want you to take over one day. But if that's something you don't want to do, then that's fine. Sean I don't think even cried so much for his dad's loss, for the loss of his dad. But he's a pretty terrible father. It's like your dad telling you, I want you to be this. You're going to take over the family business. Oh, what's that, Dad? We look through garbage bins and we pull out metal. And we're going to do some scrapping. And that's how we're going to put food on the table. No, Dad, I really want to go and be something different. No. That's Captain Robertson. And Tony, you're right. He's an overbearing dad. And he doesn't realize it to the very end. Mark and Brian, Jason Goes to Hell. Cops got to give it up to him. Tried to help out. Didn't do such a good job. Pretty decent kill, though. Doesn't look like pretty good makeup, but. Next, the beat cop from Jason Takes Manhattan. Tried to help out. Didn't do so well. But he's not as bad as some of the other characters in the movie. Got to give it to the cops. They're either going to be high on the list or in the middle. Michael Rogers from New Blood. One of the first victims. It was his birthday party. It was okay, dude. Nothing really wrong with him. Now we're getting halfway. Miles, Sean's friend. At least he stuck around. What a set of hair that is. Look at that helmet. That thing looks like it comes off in one piece. I'm jealous. What a great dome. That thing is almost as shapely as the earth. Come on. But a good friend for Sean. Steven, not a bad dude. Proposed to his wife. Wife thinks he was up to something else. Actually loved his fiance. Itonia, that hair. Yeah, so Steven's an okay dude. Not the best character. Luke from Jason Goes to Hell. You all know why I kind of put Luke in high regard. But at least he has a girlfriend, a current girlfriend that he sticks around with. Brought the other friend around. He is low on the list because he is the other girl that they brought along or strung along has to hear them in that tent. So I got to give him a little bit of points down for not providing earplugs. Why would you? Do you mind if we use that? You should have brought your own damn tent. Bowl cut. Okay, who's after Luke? Waylander from Jason X. He's probably one of the best characters in this movie. Smart guy, trying to help out, has a pretty good samurai death. Sacrifices himself for other people, which a lot of these characters don't do in this franchise. So he's up there. Ward, another okay character. At least he gave Steven his car so he can get out of there. Allowed Steven to see his daughter and touch his baby for the first time. Kind of sympathetic character. I kind of like Ward. I think he's an okay dude as well. Sheriff Brackey or Brakey, Brackey. He's okay. Tried to help Clay out, saying, "Let me do my job." Didn't really do too much, but okay. Like I said, cop sheriffs are going to be high on the list, somewhere high. Shelby, I thought Shelby was funny. Leslie Jordan, howdy do, hold me back. Shelby's an okay. I have no idea how Joey and Shelby ever got together. Hey John, what's going on? But out of the all the crew or the cast of Jason Goes to Hell, Shelby's pretty high. A sanitation worker from Jason Takes Manhattan. Frank, you put him in the middle. Yeah, because he tried to help Rennie and Sean out, try to get him out there. Pretty terrible death and shadowing. Because if you take a look at the shadow where Jason's going to take the Reg, it put it over, it smacked the sanitation, the sewer worker's head, and he's on the ground kneeling in front of Jason. Just saying, it's pretty bad. Not the kill, but what it seems like. And in New York and in Manhattan, it does happen a lot. Should he have Bucky? It would have been great if he had the Bucky hat on. Raymond, there we go. There is another guy from Mississippi. Raymond, he looks like he just went in that chicken coop to get some eggs, but yet he came out of that filth and he never took a bath. Yet when he was watching Eddie and what's her name fool around, there was a stream right there. You think he could have just washed himself clean, but a victim we didn't need. But he doesn't seem like he's a bad guy. I'm thinking he could have been an Ethel love interest. It'd have been great if him and Ethel got washed up, went out the night on a town. I would like to see them all, all duded up and groomed up and presented. They came back looking nice. A little perv though. An ugly man. He ain't a better look at yourself, I am, All right. Harold, Jason 3D. I can have fun with Harold. Darren likes this part, likes Harold, likes him eating dayfly eggs, going around, grabbing food. Harold's fun. He's a fun guy. Just stop eating now and then. Going after, what was he going after? Sunny D, going after donuts, eating peanuts. I think I knocked him down a little bit just because he's unsanitary. He was holding that rabbit and then putting his hands all over that food that people were trying to buy. Yeah, it's right, Daz. He doesn't wash his head, his hands. I was seeing Tony's head back to Harold. Deckhand from Jason. It was our Ralph, our crazy Ralph. It was kind of nice to see someone like that. Again, those are not the mountains of Jersey. They're not the mountains of Pennsylvania. They're not the mountains of New York City, anything like that. There's nothing like that around here. Snow cap, fog cap, whatever you want to call it. But he was okay. We're all gonna die. I thought he was pretty funny. There we go. Darren from Jason Lives, Tony Goldwyn, stood up to Jason. Everywhere in this franchise, there's always somebody driving down a trail. Now, that doesn't look too good, right? For those of you who go off-roading, I used to have a quad. I used to have a Yamaha Kodiak. There's these little paths, right? Little paths. If you can't fit a car through there or one car at a time, why go down it? Where do you get these maps from? At least he stood up to Jason. And how come they didn't hit that ditch on the way in? Oh, whatever. I'm examining this. He ain't Dirty Harry. Everyone say that. You ain't no Dirty Harry. Stan and Larry should have been Stan and Ollie, but Jason lives. I like their banter back and forth. They do look like they go to the all-you-can-eat sushi bar. Uh, I think they like Kate a little bit, because she is an exec. But they talk. They're okay. Just I'm hungry. You're always hungry. Crutch from Jason X. I think he's my highest. Is he my highest victim? Now, I didn't put Brodsky out here because I don't know if he's dead. I mean, he should be dead, but I don't know how good that spacesuit is when him and Jason fall to Earth 2 and they take up that radioactive heat that's coming from entry heat. But Crutch, I thought, was an okay character. Not too bad. Smart. Was able to help out a little bit. Knew what he was talking about. Talking about the Microsoft wars. Come on. Billy, Micro Machine ripoff guy. I thought Billy was quite funny. Coke snorting, horn dog orderly, funny. Phil from Jason Takes Manhattan. I mean, Jason Takes Manhattan. Might as well be. Jason Goes to Hell. Decent opening, decent coroner, decent actor. Richard Grant here. I don't think Richard Grant is with us. Please take a look for me. I think he's okay of character until he eats the heart. That's why he's knocked down a little bit. Eric, I think, is better than Phil. Eric, at least, has that, made Darren laugh when we did our best and worst of Jason Goes to Hell. That mango-sized crap. And he is the director of Jason Goes to Hell. Is that Adam Marcus? I think it is. Is it Adam Marcus? Let me look it up really quick. It is Adam. No, it's not Adam Marcus. I thought it was. That's not him. Is it? I don't know. You guys will tell me. Moving on. Martin. No need to talk about Martin too much. Another crazy Ralph. Jason Lives. Richard Grant is alive. Thank you. I don't know why I thought he passed away. I was thinking maybe somebody else. He's a high school graduate. Give him props for that. Don't think that he's a fart head. That's right. He's the writer. Thank you very much, John. He's got some involvement with that movie. I knew it. But thank you for confirming. Adam plays the cop later in the film. That's right, the one who got punched by Duke. But getting back to Martin. He's kind of high on my list just because him and I both love a person or a thing called Kathleen. Axel, as Darren says, every time you think of Axel, you think of Falker from Police Academy. Probably one of the most memorable hospital staff in franchise history. Jesus jumping Christmas shit. Josh, lovable Josh. He was looking out for what's her name, and Jason Goes to Hell. Try to give her some, encouragement. But yeah, a likable guy, pretty good guy, pretty decent guy. He's kind of high. I think he's the top cop here. I don't think so. No, he's one of them. Jim Carlson from Jason Takes Manhattan. He should have been the boat captain to begin with, or he could have been Sean's dad because he was at least that concerned and felt bad for Sean because he knew how much Captain Robertson is probably a big dick and family man, but seems like a very calm, endearing person. Steve Christie for the original. He's not my top 10, but he's up there trying to get the camp going, get it started. A little creepy, though. Remember when he was taking Adrian King's character and Alice and touching her hair? That part where they're at right now, where you see that they're building, where they're fixing the rain gutter, that is no longer at the camp anymore, at Camp Noe Bosco. They tore that down because it was in disarray. So when you go to visit the camp for the tour, they actually put a ladder, a hammer, and a handkerchief there to let you know where that cabin was at the time. I mean, he could have gone all the way, right? Because he started that camp up. He should have. Scott in part two, one of my heroes. I like Scott. I think he's fun. I think he's a fun guy to hang around. Yeah, but Dad says, yeah, Steve is kind of creepy, especially being Alice's employer. She would have a pretty good legitimate lawsuit, right? Steve is definitely creepy. He always reminded me of the creepy Ned Flanders. Wow. Oakley Dokley. Jake, for all his impairments that he has, if he had a little bit of more confidence, I think Robin would have liked him a little bit more, took charge. But we all have a kind of disability about us. I have a small form of dyslexia. So I kind of outgrew it a little bit with a lot of tutoring in school and a lot of some therapy. Uh, I could kind of relate to Jake a little bit, but I don't know why he's in that place. Did he kill somebody? Did he go so fucking crazy that made him stutter? Did he see his dad murder his mom or his mom murder his dad? I mean, a little bit of backstory to these characters would have been nice, but Jake is an okay guy if Pam was going to put him in charge. So, yeah, Chester says, I like Scott as well. And Tony, I felt bad for Jake. I felt sorry for Jake. Jake could have been, I don't know why. Yeah, and he has his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he? I kind of feel bad for characters like these. Thornton, Officer Thornton from Jason Lives, come on, handsome. Guy who wants to just help out. He's okay. Pappas, pretty boy. He would be a cop I would run to. Killer mustache, killer hair. Kind of laughed when Sheriff Garris said, "That's my daughter's car." He knew he was a cop that had some personality. So I like him. I like him a lot. Roy reminds me of somebody related to. And it's just really quirky, real funny. I was hoping Roy would survive. Can you imagine at the end of the movie when Tommy says Jason's finally back where he belongs and he's holding on to what's her name? You still see Roy running in the background. Oh, I would have loved it. Roy should never have died. I think he should have. He just passed away. This character, this actor, he did just pass away. It's a shame, but we should have gotten more from him than on screen. Let's see. Jeff part two. Bill Rudolph or Randolph? Bill Randolph, I believe. I met him at the Friday the 13th celebration in Blairstown. Really nice guy. Really like the character. Even though Sandra gets him in trouble, I think the start of the franchise, or the start of Jason killing everybody, is when Sandra tells Jeff, "Let's explore Camp Blood." I don't think Jason would have gone into the new camp, the Packanack camp, if they didn't go into Jason's territory. Jason barely leaves Crystal Lake unless you offend him in some way, and he never stops. That's what Jeff was strung along to do with Sandra. So Sandra and Jeff are the start of Jason going after everybody, because then he knew that he was never going to be left alone. Once somebody explored, because we don't know how long Paul and Ted were there to set this camp up. I mean, a lot of people were there before Jeff and Sandra got there. So I think haven't they not have gone over there, we never would have had Jason start killing people. But I like Bill. I like Jeff, the character Jeff, a lot. Ali, For as much as he does to Shelley and Vera, he at least tries to save Chris. So I give him points for that. And a pretty good death from Jerry Dandridge in Fright Night because he's one of the bouncers at the club. Andy in 3D. Andy is Shelley's roommate, of course, but I think he tries to put Shelley in his place. So I kind of do like him for that. He was going to be, of course, the father of what's her name's kid. I think it's okay. I think they were okay. He's an. All right, let's move on. Michael from the remake, Whitney's boyfriend, pretty good character, loving character. He's high on my list as well. He's probably the highest male character for me, victim of the remake. Randy, Jason Goes to Hell, Steve's friend, liked him a lot as well. I think he deserves to be on this list. I think he's the top cop. Doug, you guys know how I feel about Doug from the final chapter. Him and Sarah got together, loving couple. I think he shouldn't have went the way he went, but high marks for him for being a gentleman. Gramps, love Gramps. Reggie Reckless's grandfather. Pretty good cook. Demon, Demon was going to be on this list as well. It's damn enchiladas. Somebody's going to say it pretty soon. Damn enchiladas. Julius stands up to Uncle Charles. He's going to be high on my list as well. Another leader. Tells Sean, he's going to be okay and to, put his chin up. Sheriff Garris for all of his faults, not believing Tommy and getting practically his police force wiped out. Pretty good dad. Pretty good sheriff. Just wants everybody to be okay, and Tommy's not going around being nuts. Yeah, Tony. Oh, baby. Yeah, good. Yeah, John Gramps is a good dude as well. Moving on, because I know you guys want to get out of here. Only being here for an hour and a half, and I appreciate everybody sticking around. I really do. Jack for the original, Kevin Bacon and his boner. I should have put it as two separate characters, two separate victims, but I didn't. Hey, Gory, what's going on? Another likable character, one of the best deaths and most memorable deaths of this franchise. Give it up for Jack. Mark from part 2. Now we're getting into the top 10. Mark from part 2. A guy who, with all of his limitations, still wants to be a counselor, wants to show these kids that no matter if you're disabled, you can still do a lot of things. However, that camp is not ADA compliant. ADA compliant. That's what I said. ADA compliant. One of the greatest deaths in the history of the franchise. But yeah, I like Mark a lot. It's too bad he got distracted. If you know what I mean. I didn't think he was interested at first. He wanted to be able to do things on his own, and he wanted to, I think he could be able to get up and walk around. Yeah, Tony, I wanted Mark to survive too. Could you imagine at the end of part 2? He was one of the survivors, and you could see him just like moving his toe in the ambulance. Would have been great. Yeah, go down those stairs. Oh, Jesus. Bill from the original. I should have put him lower because of the snake, but I put him higher because I think he's a good, solid character, a good, strong character. Duke. Jason Goes to Hell. One of the best lines in history, and I'm going to get a T-shirt from about from this that he said about a little girl in a pink dress putting a hot dog through a donut. It's still one of my best lines and my worst lines because it doesn't make any sense. You can look up if you look up Duke. Jason Goes to Hell. You can see somebody painted him imagining that little girl. Jason as a little girl. A likable character, a guy's who a backstory which we needed from him. I hope that he is going to be somewhere in the series of Crystal Lake. I don't think so. I think there's still some rights issues. Brandon, let me know. Dad said Shook should have been a Duke TV show going against slashers. Wouldn't that be great? Duke Files. Marisol says, I like Mark, but what a great kill. Great. Yep. Great kill, Marisol. Duke, Friday the 13th, Man in Black. Yeah, but a little bit more. You got to admit, Tony, that he's better than the Man in Black. Paul from part 2. I put him down as being dead because the news report lists the number of victims, and I believe the number of victims that are in there matches if Paul were to be dead. Plus, we don't know where Paul is. Where's Paul? I think Paul is dead. I think there's most likely we were watching part 2 on Dave McCrae's channel. We think that because the beginning of 3D, the way it opens with Jason taking the machete out of his collarbone, his shoulder, and he throws it down, we're thinking that it's a dream sequence anyway, that Paul was there. Because when Jason comes through the window, you do see the machete in the collarbone. Of course, you can say, Frank, we're playing with semantics here. I know, but I think it's possible that it was a dream sequence. Or if anything, Paul stopped Ginny from being killed. Muffet helped out. So that's probably why he's dead, but yet didn't find the body. All right. I think this is the top 5. You ready? Here we go. Matt, try to help some kids out. What more is there? Pretty likable character. Hoss, Tommy's friend, really saved Tommy's life. Great kill. Crazy Ralph. There he is. One of the, oh, dude. Well, everybody's saying that. Plus, the actor who's playing Crazy Ralph in the Crystal Lake series looks like he's doing a bang-up job. Looks completely like him, a younger version of him. I like to see his role and how Ralph plays out. Marisol says, I want to believe that Paul was in the back of the ambulance and he survived. It'd be a nice way to see that, right? Be nice. We got to find out. I think the actor who played Paul will say, "Oh yeah, Paul's alive." But yeah, there's that thing about the news report. But let's honor Crazy Ralph. All right, Rob, one of the character that is so likable. He passed away really too quick. At least he had some more lines than my first one. Guys, want you to, if you know what my first one is, put it in. I think some of you would get it. Just think back to some of the other victims. The last male victim, like I told you, there's technically kind of 100, but I'm not including dream sequence male victims. But Rob, I wanted to see more from Rob instead of he's killing me. Who says that? But Trish, I think him and Trish could have had a happy ending. There's not too many people in this franchise where a couple kind of stays together. So, yep, Tony says Rob should have survived. Crystal Lake has a death curse. All right. My last final favorite victim. My favorite victim of all time. Who do you guys think it is? Think some of you may get it, but it's once you guys think about it, you'll be if you guys don't guess it, you'll probably be like, ah, yeah. So I'll give you guys a minute here. How long have we been on for? An hour and a half? I thought we were going to be on for longer. But yeah, Rob should have survived. They did him wrong. He couldn't have stood up to Jason. Well, he didn't. He kind of like gave up once he saw Jason. I think he got too scared. So let me do this really quick. Let me do. All right. Ah, Marisol got it right away. There he is. Ricky boy. Rick is my all-time favorite guy victim. Yeah, he looked like he could stood up to Jason. He had the strength. He was carrying all that hay with Chris's weight on it. It looked like he's an okay dude. Was able to put up with Chris's bullshit. I think he's another one that could have gone toe to toe with maybe not 3D Jason, but definitely part 2 Jason. Even though he's wearing Pamela's sweater, for Christ's sakes. Kudos to Marisol for getting that. Eye of the spring, yeah. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my ranking from worst to best victims of the Friday the 13th franchise. Thank you for coming along with me and putting up with me. Thank you for people who have subscribed. I really appreciate it. I do. It just makes me want to do more and more of these. Maybe next I'll do Halloween victims. Maybe I'll start with the girls and then finish with the guys as well. So yeah, thank you very much for sticking with me. I hope you guys have a really great weekend. I'm probably going to go see Nobody 2 with my beautiful wife. So I hope you guys do have a good weekend. All right, ladies and gentlemen. No fancy intro. No. How do I say it again? No fancy outro. No bells and whistles. Just frankly speaking. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate you. Bye.